Is there a benefit to taking your camera with you everywhere you go? You bet there is. It's the only way to catch those magical moments that spontaneously occur every day. They appear for an instant and then they're gone. It's those moments that make the most memorable pictures. Unposed, unself-conscious, and real. Unlike carefully set up shots, candid photography can catch rare instances of life being lived naturally. Little miracles and special moments you capture, then share with others. Next on The Whole Picture. Welcome to The Whole Picture. I'm Erin Manning. Have you ever heard the expression, "Let me be candid with you"? Well, it's all about speaking honestly. And candid photography is like an honesty of image. It's simple and immediate picture taking, and all you need is a camera and the ability to see and capture those spontaneous moments. Now think about all those powerful photographs by the great American photographers like Dorothea Lange in the 1930s. There's an authenticity and an immediacy in those photographs that leaves a lasting impression. Now, it can be demanding, but overall, candid photography is fun and relatively easy, and you never know when you're going to capture those magical moments. So there are a few things you need to do to take good candid photographs. Always bring your camera with you, and be prepared to take the picture without the flash. And don't worry about composing the shot, because you can always crop that later. The key here is you just want to be fast on the draw, so you don't miss any of those spontaneous moments. Now, over time, I've trained my eye to look for and capture those moments. Let me show you a few of my candid photographs. Okay, here's a picture of a father and his baby daughter. Now, I was shooting this baby daughter on my set. She started crying, so the father took her off the set to comfort her, and that's when I captured that magical moment. Next, here's a couple I photographed quite a bit. They're a lot of fun and they love to tease each other. Well, in between the poses is when I capture that magical moment. Okay, I have a student, Sarah Nix, and she's been attempting to take some candid photographs. And you know, she's really trying, but so far she hasn't been successful. Like in this photograph here, both of her subjects are looking directly at the camera, so this obviously is not a candid. By the end of today, I'm going to make sure that Sarah knows how to take a great candid photograph. First, I'm going to show you how to be discreet and attract as little attention to yourself as possible. Then I'll teach you how to work with your digital camera's shutter lag to make sure you don't miss those spontaneous moments. Next, I'll show you how to work with your camera's self-timer. That way you can just set the timer and walk away from the camera and no one knows you're taking the picture. Finally, we'll come back here to the studio and work with the image on the computer and crop it to improve your composition. Now, before we head out, there are a few things you want to keep in mind. First off, whenever you're trying to take a good candid photograph, just make sure that your flash on your camera is turned off. Okay, and you also want to make sure that you dress as inconspicuously as possible. That's why I wore all dark clothing today for the shoot. Okay, while I head out to meet with Sarah, go ahead and take a look at some of the other photographs I've taken. It's not all about you, it's about what you see in your viewfinder. Up next, I'll show you techniques to help you keep attention focused away from you, the photographer. You can capture those magical moments digitally with your camera. A candid photograph of a person or group catches its subjects naturally and unexpectedly. Often these pictures are the most open, honest, and sincere. To take interesting candid pictures, you need a good eye for detail, quick reaction time to shoot at the right moment, and a low-key presence that doesn't attract attention. My student Sarah Nix would like to evolve from taking stiff, predictable snapshots to more exciting candid photographs. I'm meeting her downtown to teach her how to use discrete camera angles that will help her blend into the background, keeping her subject's attention focused on their activity, not on her, the photographer. Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
Getting some good shots?
I hope so.
It's a beautiful day.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Okay, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
The first thing you want to learn about taking good candid photographs is to be a stealth photographer.
Okay.
All right, and that means you don't draw any attention to yourself. So for instance, I really love this red jacket, but I'm thinking maybe you should wear my dark jacket. I'm a little hot right now, so let's change jackets. This way you'll blend in more with the background and won't call any attention to yourself.
That's a good idea.
Okay. The next thing you want to do is really pay attention to your surroundings. So whether you're outside like now or inside at home, just really pay attention to what's going on around you. See what people are doing, like maybe they're having lunch or playing with the dog or your kids are talking, things like that. That makes a really good candid photograph where people are doing something.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you, what's the first thing you notice when you look at a person?
Their face.
Exactly. So you want to make sure when you're taking photographs that you're not holding your camera right up to your face because people are going to notice that, right?
Okay.
So you want to move the camera down and shoot from a lower angle.
How would I do that?
Yeah, well, you can kind of bring it down to your hip if you want to. You can still see the LCD screen and shoot that way, and that way you don't draw as much attention.
Okay.
If you want to blend into the background, avoid wearing bright colors. Find a place to sit or stand where you'll be less conspicuous. Then look for people who are just doing their thing. Notice where the action is directed so you can frame accordingly when you're ready to take your picture. To be inconspicuous, get the camera out of your subject's eye line. Make the most of your lens on your camera and shoot from the hip, literally. First, zoom in all the way. The skill here is to point the camera in the direction of the subject with the camera at waist level and fire. The great thing about digital cameras is the LCD display screen. This is ideally suited to candid photography. You can look at the display without holding the camera to your face and attracting attention. It takes practice, but it's well worth it. Okay, now that you're getting a handle on being a candid photographer, let's talk about another tricky element that digital photographers have to deal with when they're taking candids. Okay, to illustrate this problem, go ahead and take a picture of me. Okay, let's take a look. Now notice in this picture I'm out of focus?
That seems to happen a lot.
Well, the reason is when you hit the shutter, you thought the picture had taken, right? But in reality, it took an extra moment for it to be recorded to the media card. That's called shutter lag, and it happens to all digital cameras. The rule of thumb is the less expensive your camera, the more shutter lag you're probably going to have. So you've missed that decisive moment just because the camera can't keep up. Now, there are a few reasons this happens. One is the auto-focusing system on the camera. Next is the speed of the media card and your camera's ability to process that image, and whether your batteries are fully charged or not. And then add into that the human element, so that's your reflex time, your ability to anticipate that moment and track the action with your camera. So you really want to get the feel of your camera and get the timing down. But don't worry, I'll teach you some tricks to reduce the shutter lag on any digital camera.
Great.
Candid pictures can be taken at home, too. Even though you're inside, remember to turn off the flash. Then you need to get a feeling for how long the shutter lag is on your camera. To do this, point the camera at something and press the shutter button and count how long from pressure to the audible click. This is something you should remember and learn to compensate for. You can usually compensate for this by pre-focusing the picture. Just point your camera at your intended subject and press the shutter button halfway down. This activates the autofocus process and locks the camera's focus and exposure. The camera is then ready to immediately take the photograph. When the action you wish to capture occurs, press the shutter button down the rest of the way. The photo should be captured within half a second or less. Here's an advanced tip that will work in brightly lit or daylight situations. If you have a moderately advanced camera, set the focusing system to manual and focus the lens on infinity or the landscape setting. Next, set the aperture priority to use a high f-stop, f8 or higher. The camera will then automatically adjust the exposure by changing the shutter speed. A higher f-stop results in a photo with a greater depth of field. When your camera is set in this mode, you don't need to depress the shutter release button halfway down and hold it until the right moment comes along to take the picture. Now you just press the shutter button down all the way and immediately take an in-focus picture with minimal shutter delay. For more information on shutter lag, be sure to check out our website at DIYnetwork.com. While you're there, you can also see more of the pictures we took today. Magicians use sleight of hand to work their magic. Up next on The Whole Picture, we'll learn a photographer's sleight of hand that's perfect for capturing candids. Welcome back to The Whole Picture. Candid photographs depend on the subject being unaware of the photographer. Is there a way to get rid of the photographer altogether? In a way, there is. I'm Erin Manning, and I'm teaching Sarah Nix how to take great candid photographs. Hey, Sarah, it seems like you're getting used to the timing on your shutter leg.
I think so.
Okay. Well, here's another great technique to take good candid photographs without drawing attention to yourself.
Okay.
It's called the self-timer.
I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, it's just a setting on your camera that allows you to delay the shutter release from 2 to 10 seconds.
Wow.
So this way you can just set the camera on the tripod, compose your shot, set the self-timer, and then walk away from the camera. No one will know you're taking the picture.
Okay.
Okay, and just because you're the family photographer doesn't mean you can't be in the family photographs. Okay, so you'll just compose your shot, set the self-timer, jump in there with your family, and just try to act natural and do something in the photograph, so no posing.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a picture of them back there. We'll just use this tripod. Primarily, a self-timer's function is to allow the photographer to be in her own photos. For candid photography, it can also be useful when you want to take a picture with your subject's attention completely focused away from the camera. We'll get the hang of using the self-timer first by taking a candid image of our subject without Sarah trying to be in the picture. Before we get to the camera settings, the camera must be set on a tripod or level surface. You still need to press the shutter release button in 2 steps when using the self-timer. First, press the shutter button halfway down to lock focus and exposure. Check the scene in the viewfinder or on the LCD. Many digital cameras let you select the time it takes for the self-timer to release the shutter, usually between 2 and 10 seconds. So next, select the time you'll want the shutter to release. Then, fully press the shutter release button to trigger the timer. As you move your hands away, don't nudge the camera from its set position. Now let's try a candid shot that includes the photographer. Get your image framed, press the shutter button halfway to lock the focus and exposure, fully press the shutter button to set the timer, then scurry over to your framed area and interact naturally with your husband. And of course, once you get there, act natural and don't look at the camera. Okay, here's another tip for taking candid photographs using your self-timer.
Okay.
All right, let's say you're taking a picture in a low light situation where you're gonna need a long shutter exposure. And when that happens, the camera's more susceptible to shaking.
Okay.
For instance, if you're gonna take the picture and your finger presses down on the shutter button, the camera's gonna move a little bit, right? You'll get a blurry photograph. But if you take this and put it on a tripod and then set the self-timer, move away from the camera, it'll take the picture and it'll be really crisp and clear.
Okay.
All right? Now, we've learned all these things today outside using stealth photojournalism candid techniques.
Right.
But if you take these same techniques and apply them to your family at home, you'll get some great pictures.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and go home, take lots of great candids of your family, and I'll see you tomorrow at the studio. We'll look at all the pictures on the computer.
Okay, sounds
Okay?
great.
All right. Can I get my coat back? Great action, but too much space around the edges? After the break, you'll learn how to crop your photos, giving that candid moment an ideal framing. Let's face it, sometimes in candid photography, framing takes a back seat to capturing the magical moment. Working on the computer with the cropping tool, we can improve our framing before printing out a photograph. Hey Sarah, were you able to take some good pictures of your nephews last night?
I hope so. We had a lot of fun.
Oh, great. Let's look at those pictures and the ones that we took together yesterday.
Okay.
Okay? Now, here's a great candid moment. That's nice. Let's see the next one. Okay. Cute couple.
Good action shot.
Exactly, yeah. You really caught those up in midair. Interesting, but, you know, let's see what else you have. Oh, that's a great shot. Okay, perfect example of cute girls, but they're aware of your camera.
They caught me trying to take a picture of them.
Yeah, so it's not a candid. Okay, so these are the nephews. All right.
Max and Jackson.
Great. They're very cute. Let's see the rest of them. Okay, this is great. You really captured a moment here. He doesn't look like he's aware of your camera. And it's a really good picture to go in and crop to improve the composition.
Okay.
So let's do that. Let's start by coming up here to the menu bar. We'll click on File, and we'll roll down to Save As.
Okay.
Reason being, it's a good idea to save a copy. Go ahead and click. And that way you can archive the original. So just go ahead and name this, anything that you want to name it, just so you remember what it is.
Okay.
And that way we'll be working on the copy.
I'll name it Max, since that's his name.
Okay, and then go ahead and click Save. And click OK. Okay. Now, since we're working with this image editing software program, and the whole basis of it is layers, and the layers are right over here on the right.
Okay.
What you want to do is come up here and click on where it says More, and that little arrow, it's a drop-down menu, and just hold it there and roll down to Duplicate Layer.
Okay.
Okay? Go ahead and let go, and then click OK. And this is going to give us a copy to work on,
Okay.
so we can save the original again. Okay, so now we're in here. What we want to do is crop the image. So we want to come over here to the toolbar on the left, and you're going to click on the crop tool right there.
Okay.
Great. Now to crop this, I'd say start your pointer about right here on the image, click, and drag down to this corner, and then we can reposition the crop once you let go.
Okay.
Let's see how that looks. Okay, let go. And around this, we see some bounding boxes here. If you click on, let's say this one here, click and hold down your mouse and just drag it out a little bit. This will change the shape and size of the bounding box, okay? Let's come down here and click on this one, just to make sure we get his whole hand in there and everything. Okay. I'd say that looks pretty nice. Let's go ahead and just double click in the middle of that, and this will crop the image for us. Okay, that looks good. But you know, there's some clutter here in the background I think we could clean up.
Okay.
So we're gonna do that by coming over here to the toolbar, and you're going to click on this lasso tool right here. It's a selection tool. Hold it down, and then roll down to Polygono Lasso tool.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and bring your pointer over this area. What this does is it helps us select areas that have straight edges. So just click once there to kind of start our box we're going to draw, and then let go once you click it, great. And then come down here to this corner and click again and let go. And then move over here, click again and let go, you got it. And then back up here to this corner, click and let go. And then come back over here to finish up the box. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. We just want to kind of select this area and just double click. Okay, great. Now this is all selected. What we're going to do is just darken that area so it just sort of fades off into the background.
Okay.
So we'll come up here to the menu bar and click on Enhance. And just roll down to Adjust Lighting. Okay, and we're going to move over to Brightness Contrast and let go. Okay, here's our brightness contrast dialog box. So we have some sliders here you can work with. And I would suggest just to darken this down to click on the brightness slider and just pull it over to the left. You can probably pull it all the way over to the left, that's fine. And then click on the contrast slider. We're gonna get rid of any contrast in there and bring that over to the left also.
Okay.
Okay, now you can see up here that everything's kind of gone away. So go ahead and click OK. Okay, this looks really nice. So let's go ahead and save it.
Okay.
We'll come up here to the menu bar and click on File and just roll down to Save. Great. And just go ahead and click Save. Okay, now let's print it out.
Okay.
We'll come back up here to the menu bar, click on File, and we'll roll down to Print. There you go. Now this is our print dialog box, and as you can see, we don't have the full image here on the page. So let's come up here to the print size drop-down menu and just click on that, and roll down to Fit on Page. And it's off to the printer.
Okay.
If you'd like to learn more about candid photography or anything you saw here today, just log on to our website at DIYnetwork.com. Okay, Sarah, are you ready to see the final print?
Yes.
All right. Here it is.
Oh, that looks great. My sister's gonna love it.
I think so too. He's so cute, and you definitely captured a moment between Max here and his toys. And you know what? Don't worry about the border. You can just trim this off and frame it and make a great gift.
Okay.
All right, keep up the good work. And remember, always bring your camera with you because the more pictures you take, the better you get. It was really fun working with you today.
You too, thank you.
Thank you. I hope you'll use what you learned today and take your own great candid shots. Join me next time on The Whole Picture. Okay, let's go click on this one because I really like that, and I think if we crop that one, it would be great too. Just like crop her face.